in the North Shore Hospital in North Sydney on Friday the 7th of May 1971. He weighed 3.5 kilograms and was 55 centimetres long.
Big boy.
As a first child, he certainly put us through the hoops. A doctor visiting Di in hospital saw this bright little face and said, "Ooh, I think he's going to make your life interesting." How right she was. Totally inexperienced parents, the first night at home with him, we were desperately looking up the Dr. Spock baby book with the chapter Crying in Early Weeks. When he eventually stopped crying and went to sleep for 6 hours, we thought he was dead. Knowing I had to do this speech, I asked Ben a few questions. What were some of your earliest memories? His replies were, Mum backing into a car outside a shoe repairer when I was aged about 4. 2, being sent to live with his grandparents in 1977 when his mother was hospitalised for some time. Specifically, being asked to take a bath when you didn't want one. So he went into the bathroom, closed the door, locked it, filled the bath with water, sat on the loo, emptied the bath, and then left. And thirdly, drawing on the walls of our rental place when we first moved back to Adelaide. This was when Ben was about 6. And because he'd recently been told the importance of owning up when doing something wrong, when we asked, who drew on the walls? And Ben quickly bobbed up, I did! And he wasn't punished for that.
Nice.
So, early memories. Perhaps the car accident was a shock that Mum did something wrong. Finding ways to outwit his grandparents and learning the importance of honesty.
Yes.
One clear memory I have was in 1976. It was during the time we were driving home from Sydney to Adelaide. At the time we had just Ben and his younger brother Marcus, who is just here. We thought we'd get an early start on the 16-hour trip. So we tucked the boys into the back seat of the Tirana in their bedding at 4 a.m. No seat belts or car seats then. And set off, expecting the boys to sleep for the first few hours. Well, we hadn't even got to Parramatta. And Ben bobbed up saying, "Are we there yet, Dad?" Another question. This was his answer to some of the happiest parts of his teenage years. Summers at Port Willunga, where we had a beach house, hanging out with friends who'd come down to stay with us. Going to the beach every day, eyeing off girls in bikinis, and playing table tennis in the garage. Bliss. And I think there's somebody tonight that knows a bit about that. Playing basketball with my mates, and 3, the parties. It seemed like every week there'd be a party at someone's place. And the playlist was always the same. Kick by INXS, Diesel and Dust by Midnight Oil, and George Thorogood Live. Great memories. These are all typical happy memories of a teenager with a focus on his friends, sport, girls in bikinis, and music. I don't think much has changed since. Now, this was an interesting one. Another question was, what did you get away with that your parents never knew about? According to Ben, heaps of stuff. He thinks most of it he's told us about, but one we didn't know was taking his mum's car, the Millennium Gherkin, the emerald green Sigma wagon, out one night to visit a girlfriend in about 1988. He drove quietly out at about 11 p.m. and back at around 2. Can't believe he got away with it. Neither can we. Ben, as a teenager, had his moments when he was not terribly bright. Clever, but not bright.
I know this too.
He decided he wanted to ceremonially burn his basketball shoes. In those days, we all had incinerators at the bottom of the garden alongside a garden shed. And in order to speed up the burning process, Ben decided to get the can of petrol he kept for the lawnmower and pour it onto his shoes. Huge flames shot up into the petrol can and he had to quickly toss it away. With the flames licking the outside of the shed, he was lucky that didn't go up too, and also lucky he didn't suffer some major burns.
How much more you got to go?
13 pages. I asked Ben what motivates you. He replied, making the world a better place. Wherever that is bringing joy to people through my trivia nights, or improving the experience of customers have with companies that I work with doing through C Expert. I asked him what are some of your proudest moments. Writing and delivering a speech at your Golden Wedding anniversary last year was certainly one of my proudest moments in the last 5 years. It was a fantastic speech.
Yeah.
Incredibly funny and well written. When he told us it was 5 pages long, our hearts sank. And we thought it was going to drag on a bit. Not at all. It was the highlight of the night and enjoyed by all 50 people present. Another one of Ben's proudest moments was making the basketball A team in his final year at school. He was in the B team most of the year and finally got promoted to the A's in the Intercol game, but the coach kept him in that team for the rest of the season. Ben loved his basketball and all members of the team were great friends. Another proudest moment was losing over 25 kilograms and building a pretty decent physique soon after meeting Annie. Annie gave Ben great encouragement then and has been a fantastic support ever since. Well done, Annie. Another proudest moment was being appointed at NBN to head up the customer experience program for the business segment. It was an external recognition that I was a CX person. Up until that point, it was just me telling the world I was a CX person. Finally, this was someone recognising it. Ben has devoted a great deal of time in the last few years to customer experience. And over these years, he's earned a well-recognised reputation for his work in this area.
Yeah.
Age 15.
Thank God.
Finally,
Finally.
I asked him where he thought he'd be in 30 years. He tells me he hadn't given it a great deal of thought. However, at 80, he'd like to be somewhere in the tropics, playing golf a couple of times a week, having interest in the stock market, and he would also like to be given the opportunity to give back to the community. When I was working in management, there was always this final question when interviewing job candidates. It gave me an insight into their interests and beliefs. The question: if I had a magic wand and could bring 3 people to you, past or present, to spend an hour with you, who would they be and why? So Ben's 3 people are Paul McCartney, Jack Nicklaus, and Richard Branson. Interesting mix. It shows his interest in people who have reached the pinnacle of their profession. Ben's main interests centre around music, golf, and business. They all involve creativity, precision, dedication, and commitment. One of Ben's great attributes is his positive outlet. He's always looking forward to the next day. So his choice of personalities show his admiration for a strong work ethic, his drive, competence, and will to succeed. Ben, we love you, we're proud of you, we're proud of what you achieved. Happy 50th.
Okay, thank you very much, pal. Wonderful words, and I've only got 15 pages myself. All right, now those that know me from downstairs at the trivia will know that I'm extremely proficient at reading while slightly inebriated. So that's why I've got these notes with me tonight. And for anyone that saw the speech that I did give at Mum and Dad's 50th wedding anniversary, I just want to let you know that this is not going to be anywhere near that sort of length. I'm much better at talking about other people than I am about myself. I want to start by thanking those who have travelled from great distances to be here with us tonight. Mum, Dad and Marcus have all come from interstate. And Pete and Liz Cummins have come from McLeod, so thanks for guys. Hope you brought your passport. It's great to have you all here. In Mum and Dad's case, it's great to have you anywhere. And I'm honoured that you've all made so much effort to be part of these celebrations. I don't remember a lot about my 21st birthday. The year was 92 and we had it at the Adelaide Rowing Club on the banks of the Torrens. I made the cap party. Everybody had to wear a cap. And I remember saying a few words then and then drinking a yard glass of beer, which was the tradition amongst all my mates at the time. It came up very quickly, let me tell you. And that's probably why my memory's a little hazy. But I do remember getting on stage with a local band called Strum and belting out a version of That Ain't Bad by Rat Cat, which Cam McDonald, who was there on the night, complimented me on my vocal cords, and that has stayed with me. 9 years later, in 2001, I had my 30th at the Garage Bar in Light Square in Adelaide. This time it was a B party, so everybody had to turn up as something starting with B. We had baseballers, bouncers. Marcus came as Beethoven. He was a terrific Beethoven. And Dad came as a Bedouin sheik. Really, it was just a sheik's outfit that he picked up when he travelled to Saudi Arabia with work, but he really wanted to wear it. And I didn't give much of a speech at that party either. I did hire a drag queen to put on a show, which was fantastic. So, look, I've come to 50 and I thought I'd better say a few words. So, a week after that 30th birthday, in the second week of May in 2001, I packed up my Jeep Cherokee and drove over here to take up a promotion with the company I was working for at the time, which was Commander. The reason for the move was because I got to the age of 29 and I realised that whilst I was really comfortable living in Adelaide, I couldn't live my entire life there without at least having tried to live somewhere else. I knew I'd regret it later in life if I didn't. And so I went for a job in Melbourne and got it, and then had to have the awkward conversation with Richo, the fact that, sweetheart, I'm moving to Melbourne and I'd love you to come with me. And thankfully she was on board with the idea. The plan was to give Melbourne a go for a couple of years and then move back, but 20 years later, here we are. Now Victoria cops a fair bit of flack from Adelaide, at least it did 20 years ago. But you guys in this room tonight are all testament to the fact that wonderful people do exist in Victoria. And you are one of the major reasons that Richo and I are still here. And it's we've lasted so long here because of the friendships that we've both built. You know, we may strive for all forms and definitions of success, but the biggest assets in our lives are the friends that we make along the way. Now, some of you I met through work, some through uni, some through trivia, some on the golf course. However I met you, I'm really grateful for your friendship, and I'm really glad that you're here tonight. Thank you. Now, friends are important, but equally as important as is family. Mum and Dad, I'm so glad that you guys could be here tonight. You both mean the world to me, and I want to thank you for all the support that you've given me over the years. And thank you also for raising me right. And if you haven't met my brother Marcus yet, you should do yourselves a favour and introduce yourself before the end of the night. Marcus owns Haynes & Co in Adelaide, which I humbly consider to be the best bar in Australia.
I'm on the spot for this.
Cornerstone notwithstanding. I know a few people in the room have dropped past Haynes & Co and they've always had a good time. In some cases, they've even ended up swinging from the roof. Marcus, you're one of the best older brothers a guy could have. I love you, mate. Now, if you've turned up tonight hoping I would provide a list of the most important things I've learned in my 50 years walking the planet, I'm afraid you're going to be a little disappointed, because when I boiled it all down, there was only one thing I could come up with, and that's the golden rule. Treat others as you would like to be treated yourself. It is the basis of everything that I do in customer experience. And in fact, I'm delivering a training course just next week where I'll be hammering that home. Live your life with empathy and you won't go wrong. So that's it. That's all I've got. And use a moisturiser. And I want to make Richo put me on the moisturisers 23 years ago, and I'm pretty happy that she did. Now, the ladies in this room are probably all over this advice, so I'm speaking to the blokes now. It is never too late to start. Alright? And just on Richo, I want to make a special mention of her, because nobody has had a bigger positive impact on my life than her. You are the greatest thing that has ever happened to me, Barry, and I love you to death. Alright, so that's it. Once again, thank you everybody for coming tonight. There is still plenty left on the tab, so please drink up, have a good time, and cheers. Cheers.